What's going on, guys? Algin Estacio here with FlytPath.com. In this video, I just want to quickly talk to you a little bit about the remote control for the DJI Mavic Pro. I've gotten some questions on my emails as well as my comments asking what I've been using my C1 and C2 buttons for on the back of the remote, as well as the 5D joystick on the front, and also a couple questions about antennas. So in this video, I just want to quickly talk to you about those things, so stay tuned. So the first thing I want to do is talk about the antenna and antenna positioning. A lot of people don't really talk about this, even when I used to fly my Phantom, not that many people would talk about it, but I think it's something that people should know about, and they want to have the best reception between the remote control and your drone, and a lot of that deals with the antenna positioning. So even when I started flying, and I've started flying with the Phantom, there used to be just one antenna on the Phantom 1, but then they moved into the Phantom 2, and they started having two antennas like they have on the Phantom 3 as well as the Phantom 4. The thing is that when people would undo the antennas, they would assume that if I pointed the antennas right towards the drone, that was the best signal. But technically, all of the signal is coming from the side surfaces of your antennas, not from the tips. So if your drone is straight ahead and you're trying to point this at it, you're actually getting worse reception than it is if you have these sides pointed directly at the drone. So just as an example, like I'm showing you here, my antennas are actually pointed straight up in the air because I want these flat surfaces to be pointed at my Mavic for the best reception. I do not want them pointed like this or inward like this. These tips are actually the weaker portions of the reception. So you want to make sure that it's pointed with the sides at the drone, not like this. Now, like I mentioned, if it was above you, then it wouldn't make sense for your antennas to be pointed this way, because if my drone is above me, looking down, now these antennas right here, the flat surfaces, are pointed straight up. That's now giving me the best reception from my remote controller to my drone. Now the next thing we'll talk about are the C1 and C2 buttons. Now these are on the back of the remote, and on your left hand is the C1, which is like a trigger right here, and the C2, which is another one on my right hand right about here. Now of course this is the photo record, this is the video record, but at the bottom here you have these two custom buttons. Now I just want to talk to you a little bit more about what I've been using them for. There's definitely a few options in here that I want you guys to explore a little bit, but I just want to go through and tell you what I've been using them for and show you a couple examples of using them in the field. Now these custom buttons are all programmable. It depends on what you want to use them for. So at the menu system on the very top right, what you're going to want to do is click on those three dots, and a menu system is going to come out. Now when that menu system comes out, you're going to go down to the third icon, which is the remote icon. And within that remote icon, there's a lot of settings in here: remote control calibration, stick mode. Now I'm not going to go through all of those functions of the remote control in this video. This is really just to talk about what I've been using my custom buttons for. So the first thing you want to do is look at the remote control settings. You can scroll up and it'll say remote control calibration, stick mode, set fixed wing, remote control LCD introduction. And then when you get down to button customization, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now there's C1 and C2, like I mentioned. This is C1 and C2. And the great thing is you can set these as shortcuts for your Mavic Pro. Now if you click on the C1 customization button there, you're going to have a few options here. We can quickly go through those. You can see that there's an option to turn LEDs of the Mavic on and off, center weight metering, auto exposure lock and unlock, advanced camera settings, camera front down, gimbal follow FPV mode, toggle map, live view, and battery info, navigation, playback, and center autofocus. Like I mentioned, I'm not going to go through all of them, what they all do on this video. I just want to kind of show you what I've been using them for. I would like you guys to also test them out, see what you guys use, see what you've been using the most while you're flying, and see if there's a custom button for that specific reason. That way you don't have to look down at your screen. You can customize these buttons so that you can keep focus on your drone and quickly toggle in and out of these custom functions here from your remote control. So for my C1 button, the one thing I've been using it for is camera forward and camera down. Now the reason why I've been doing that is I will always find myself flying to a specific area, whether I fly at the beach or I fly over a pier or over a property or things like that. And the one thing that's really great about camera forward and camera down is that it will quickly show you exactly where you are in perspective of the drone. Now, while your drone is 1,000 feet away, it's very hard to see exactly where you are in relationship to that subject that you want to shoot. So what I'll do a lot of times is I'll fly in sport mode to a specific area, switch it back to GPS, and while I'm there and I'm looking at my screen, I will then quickly toggle it with the C1, and it will then move my camera straight to straight down really quickly. That way, if I know I'm flying at a cliff or I'm flying near a beach and I want to specifically get right above a subject or right above a house, all I have to do is quickly tap that C1 button and my camera will go from forward to straight down. Then what I do from there is fly and position my drone right above that subject. Makes it really fast and easy, and that way you don't have to actually use the scroll on the video on the remote. To do that, all you have to do is quickly trigger that button. So the next button we'll talk about is the C2 or Custom 2 button right here on the back of the remote on my right hand. Now what I've been using it for is for center autofocus. So if you guys don't know, with the Mavic Pro, you actually have to tap on the screen or you need to refocus the camera whenever you go out and fly. So if you first get it and you are flying and everything seems to be a little blurry or a little muddy, it's probably because you haven't tapped on a specific portion of your screen or on a subject for it to refocus. So the reason why I like to set this button as my center focus point is that I don't have to take my hands off my remote to then click my screen and focus onto something. What it does is whatever your screen is showing you, so depending on how your gimbal is positioned, all you have to do is click on the C2, just like that. And what it'll do now, whatever's in the center of your subject or on your screen, it will then focus on that. So if you're out flying and you're positioning your drone over a house or on a bridge or a pier and you want to get something in focus, all you have to do is move that gimbal up and down and center whatever that subject matter is right in the middle of your screen. Click that C2 button, and then it'll now refocus right there onto that subject. So now you know that whatever you're shooting will now be in focus. Now the next shortcut button we'll go through is what they call the 5D button, which is this little joystick here right on the right front of your screen on your DJI Mavic controller. Now this is one of those buttons that I don't really use too much, but I did find a need for it when I started shooting landscape photography and did a lot more of the portrait mode panoramics. What I have my modes set on right now is under the 5D customization button. For upper and lower, I have the zoom in and zoom out. So I don't really use that too much, but what I did set it for is the left and the right. Now, what I have it is on left. When I click it left, what it does is it moves my camera from landscape to portrait mode. So all I have to do is click that to the left, and now my camera itself will rotate from landscape to portrait, click it back. Now I found this to be really helpful when I'm flying up in the air. That way I don't have to go into my menu system to my camera settings, click on the settings icon and then change it on that toggle switch from portrait to landscape. All I have to do is click quickly on that remote control to the left. Now for the 5D customization on the right joystick, what I've been doing is switching that to AE lock or auto exposure lock. That way when you're flying and you have auto exposure lock on, you're not going to get fluctuations of light coming into your camera based on the direction you're going. So the auto exposure will then lock to whatever it is set at that moment you hit it. That way it's not adjusting the entire time you're flying and you might see flicker or a lot of changes in your video. So if I fly it up in the air and I know that I want to stay within this exposure range based on my histogram, what I'll do is I'll switch it to auto exposure lock. That way there's not much fluctuation on my exposure when I'm flying in a particular direction. So that's about it, guys. Like I mentioned, I wasn't going to go through every detail of what each function does. I just wanted to address some of the questions I got on my emails as well as comments of what I've been using the 5D and the C1, C2 buttons for. I hope I gave you guys a little bit of explanation behind how I've been using them. What I'd like you guys to do, of course, is to try Try different functions, see what works for you, see what you guys are using the most, implement those into your shortcuts. That way you can focus on flying and not have to look down at your screen to make some of these adjustments. Once again, guys, if you guys got some value from my video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. This is Aldrin Estacio with FlytPath.com. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.